Holy shit, breaking news. Stefon Diggs traded to the Houston Texans. Happened earlier this morning. What's up, everyone? I'm Matt Dennis. You can follow me at Fantasy Matt, EFN, with my boy, as usual, Pat Wendelken. You can follow him at CityStards136. Dude, what is up? What a day. We literally just dropped a pod. I dropped it last night, or we dropped it last night, recorded it last night. Dropped it. I already got some feedback that apparently behind me there's too much glare coming in from the windows. So that's what's behind me now is a little bit of a makeshift kind of cover up, so it's not annoying people, the glare coming in from the windows. But today, waking up, we kind of like had left the podcast yesterday saying, we're probably quiet over the next couple of weeks before we get into the draft. Yeah. And lo and behold, not even 24 hours later, about 12 hours later, Stefon Diggs is traded to the Houston Texans. So your initial thoughts, man. Your initial thoughts. And then we'll break down fantasy. Obviously, with this comes the fantasy relevance that goes behind it. That's why I wanted to jump on real quick. We'll make this a very quick, probably 5-10 minute podcast, maybe 10 at the most. But your thoughts initially.
Wow. I mean, it changes the dynamic on both teams for sure. Bills are just, clearing out the cap. You know what I mean? They're out.
Oh yeah,
with him, right? That's major. He wasn't.
Well, he was obviously done with them. I mean, he was disgruntled. His brother was telling him he wanted to get rid of him. That he needs to leave that team. So. There's obviously stuff 100%. That had been going on behind the scenes for months now. So
it was just about, I guess it was the time, and they found the right partner, and the partner fits perfect because, that's just a hot, up-and-coming young teen, and, a nice vet like him could do some serious damage, really. I can see a lot of goodness coming out of this one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Stefon Diggs is not, kind of the youngest wide receiver. He's 30 years old. I didn't see, I got to double check. I don't know if he turns 31 before the season or if it's the middle of the season, but 30-year-old wide receiver, usually, shelf life isn't that much longer. But did you see the details on the trade?
Yeah, picks. You know what I mean? I'm like, what? So Bills send Diggs a 24-6.
Bills send, just so everybody hears that clearly. Yeah.
I was like, I at first I was like that when I saw the details to it. I'm like, I send a 24-6th, a 25-5th for a 25-2nd via
which
Minnesota.
Is actually... Yeah, via Minnesota, which is actually Minnesota's pick. It's not even the Houston Texans pick.
Okay, whatever.
Plus, at the end of that, they're eating basically a majority of the cap for this year to get rid of him. So they're getting $31 million in cap hit for the Buffalo Bills this year. That's how bad they want him off the team. They're paying him $31 million. It reminds me of the Russell Wilson kind of conversation, right? When they just let him walk and they're eating $85 million of the cap. They want him off the team so bad. Sure. They're going to pay $31 million to have him off his team, or off their team, I should say. Plus, I mean, they're only getting a second next year.
That's it.
And they have to give a 5 and a 6 in order to get that second. So, yeah, kind of crazy.
I mean, just go. We want you that bad. Russell Wilson, all these. It's a toxic people. I mean, and realistically, in their eyes, they're we'll do anything to get rid of you as long as we find the right person.
Well, and he did this in Minnesota. I mean, think about it. This is exactly what he did in Minnesota. He was there it was obviously his rookie contract. I think he got traded his third year of his rookie contract. Yes. And then they re-signed him in Buffalo. They paid a second round pick for him at the time.
Crazy.
Yeah, and then you four whatever it is, 4 years later, he's in Buffalo, and basically I didn't really realize this, or maybe I just was one of those things where maybe I just kind of ignored it. He was in Buffalo for, this is his fourth year, or what was his fourth year this past season in Buffalo.
Year, correct.
He was in Minnesota for 5 years prior to that, and both of which he kind of demanded / forced the trade out of the cities that he didn't want to be in anymore. Now he goes to Houston. So talk about the implications within Houston, but I mean, you just got to think, why would somebody want him on their team with just what he kind of does anyways? I mean, obviously he's in his prime, he's an elite star. Even 2 years ago, he was an elite star. He had 1,400 receiving yards. Yeah, I mean, he's been a diva. It's one of those things where he's always been a diva. He's always complaining when he was in Minnesota because he wasn't getting the ball enough. And we'll talk about this. I guess we can kind of just jump right in. There's a lot of leagues that I'm in where they're like, oh, he'll be the 2 in Houston. And I'm like, he just spent the past year complaining he wasn't going to get the ball enough in Buffalo, which he was a number 1 in that offense, theoretically.
Which is crazy. Yeah, 100%.
And you think he's going to accept to want to go to another city where he's going to be the number 2? I don't see that at all. I project he's going to be the number 1. Now, whether or not it kind of actions out to be that way at the end of the season, with obviously Nico Collins, We got Nico Collins and they got Tank Dell. So it's like obviously there's some other wide receivers that are there that Buffalo necessarily didn't have, but I wouldn't see him, being a diva wanting to get out to go to a city where he's guaranteed to be the number 2 or is projected to be the number 2. I don't see that at all. What do you think?
Yeah, man, there's a lot of, and he's the old one now. He's like, you're going to a team that's full of youth, minus Mixon, really. That's the
Oh
other
yeah,
end of this
yeah.
thing. You know what I mean? Like everyone else is high flying and rolling, and like if you were complaining about being the number 1 there, and then got a lot of young youth with a lot of good hands, with a nice quarterback that sling the ball. I mean, come on, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's cool to see it, but I mean, is he really gonna be that happy?
I mean, I think he'll be happy to get out of the Bills. I think he'll be happy to be on a younger upstart team. CJ Stroud with how good he looked this past year. I mean, CJ, I look at CJ as he's more of a, and this, he's more of a pocket passer, right? So, and that was his issue, I think, with Josh Allen. Josh Allen, when things would break down, he'd start to run, or he wouldn't look Stefon's way. He would look one way, he wouldn't look back. So I think it was more of, I think his frustration was probably more of the style of passer Josh Allen was. That's just my projection or my thought.
Right. Makes sense.
Where you got something like CJ Stroud, who's, not a tactician because he's still young, but at least he's sitting in the offense, sitting in the pocket, going through his reads, finding people that are open. And there's a couple of plays last year that I saw where Stefon was wide open, like waving his hands, just like literally going like this. And Josh Allen's like not even looking his way. So
yeah,
who knows? I mean, it could also be an opportunity for him to teach these younger wide receivers, how to become more of a pro and a diva at the same time. I mean,
dude, I thought, with the Mixon, they moved Mixon over there was an upgrade and like all this other stuff, and they picked up some line people. But I'm like,
they're good. I think they're pushing all in. If you think about it, like maybe this is a move for the Texans to say like, hey, we think we've got enough to at least make a run at it, and let's just see what we can do.
I think so. I think you're right about that. I don't really see like, yeah. I mean, I guess this is all in shot. I mean, now. For fantasy purposes,
quickly hit the like and subscribe button. I forgot to say that at the very beginning. I wanted to say that. Yeah, I keep forgetting. Please hit the like and subscribe. Give a comment if you think we're wrong. If you think we're way off base on this analysis, like by all means, all commentary and thoughts.
Interaction goes a long way.
Interactions are welcome. So, all right, sorry to cut you off, man.
So I'm saying fantasy wise,
fantasy relevance. Let's jump in.
Keep it short and easy. Josh Allen, what do you think?
I mean, I've got Josh Allen's share. I've only got one of it. I'm kind of worried. I wouldn't lie, but here's what I'd say on that note. Stefon Diggs in the last 5 or 6 games was not even that relevant in that offense, and Josh Allen still is producing. He's got a young tight end in Dalton Kincaid. He obviously has Curtis Samuel. Not saying Curtis Samuel's the number 1 by any means, so do not project that I said that. That's not what I'm saying. But he got an addition. I could easily see them in the first round picking up a wide receiver. This wide receiver rookie class is very deep. I could see them taking a couple of stabs at wide receivers throughout this draft season. They've got 11 picks from what I gathered, from what I looked up. They've got 11 picks this draft. They could easily do 2 or 3 wide receivers and see what pans out, take a roll. Mm-hmm. But even with rookies, that's going to be a hit. It's definitely going to be a hit on Josh Allen. I'm not going to lie. The question is going to be how far down is he going to fall? If we've been talking, and this is kind of, let's just talk about it, openly, because it's the first time we've kind of even had an open discussion about it. If you're doing a dynasty startup, which we talked about doing, where would you put Josh Allen right now as QB what? Not projected for 2 or 3 years, but right now, what's your thought?
He's got to be still like a top 5, top 7 still. I mean, he's up there, dude.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say beyond top 7. I wouldn't say farther than top 7. His rushing ability.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's a big dude, bro. He's pocket presence. He's always rushing. He can do, he's always on the run. He's still got a solid arm, and he still throws the targets, like you said. I mean, Curtis Samuel's there. I mean, now he gets to play with a real wide receiver. I mean, a real quarterback now, and
Samuel
balance out Samuel. And he still got his tight ends. He's still throwing it. To cook out the back. Why not?
Cook out the backfield 100%.
Yeah, I think he'll do just fine, man. I think he'll be all right. I don't think it might be an overreaction Tuesday, kind of, or Wednesday, I should say, today. I feel like, oh my God, but I'm like, he's still going to do well. Plus you said the wide receiver class is super deep in this year for this draft. So why not scoop up one? You know what I mean? It's perfect timing.
Yeah. I totally agree. Again, I don't think he's going to be the Josh Allen that's probably dropping at least next season. I'm not maybe one or two random, but I don't see the expectation for him dropping 30 points in a fantasy game next season for being Josh Allen is probably going to be as realistic as what it was or could have been last year or was last year. Like last year he did one game at 36, another at 30, one at 40. Then after the bye, which is when basically Stefon Diggs kind of trailed off, after the bye, his high was 25 points. So you kind of see like he still was scoring above 15. It was 16 to 25 points after the bye, which is when Stefon Diggs trailed off. But he by no means was like the elite, 30 point person, 36 point person, or 40 point person. So I could see him, if I were projected, like probably 20 to 25 points per game. Probably I think your quarterback 5 to 7 is probably the best projection, at least to see like until you see who he gets in the draft. I wouldn't drop him lower than that because I just think that that's not really fair considering his legs and his mobility and everything. So he's got really nobody else besides Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel right now, and then Kincaid and Knox. So they definitely have to go after some wide receivers, man.
For sure.
Who's still out
the
there.
The other end of the stick, right?
But also real quick, who's still out there? We talked about this yesterday. Tyler Boyd.
Oh, Tyler Boyd. Yeah, man. He could fit pretty sweet over there. That might be a nice little slot for his.
Maybe they drop like a few million on him just to bring him in for a year or two, and then just at least let the rookies get up to speed.
Why can't T. Higgins go there? Would you take a flyer on T. Higgins to bring him in?
I mean, they'd have to trade heavy capital to get T. Higgins because obviously
he doesn't want it. I mean, he doesn't want to be there. This is his last year regardless.
I mean, they've got 11 draft picks. They could drop I don't know exactly. I don't have it in front of me, but I don't know the exact rounds and how many they have per round. But they dropped a second and a fourth maybe to get T. Higgins and then sign him to a contract. I mean, I could see that.
I'm saying, dude, that then is your number one right there. Higgins gets his number one shot.
100%.
With another great quarterback that can work well.
Yeah. All right. So I just thought about that as you started talking about the
no,
Houston
that's
side.
Cool. Now Houston value drops on Nico Collins and Tank Dell. Has to. I mean, now the ball's going to be moved a little. I don't care what anyone says. I mean, we already see reactions in our league already going crazy. So, I mean, me personally, I mean, you're gonna Nico Collins drops, Tank Dell drops. I mean, I don't think it'll be like drastic, but now you have a superstar now, another one.
Oh, and CJ Stroud, you missed that part of it. He's like wheels up, in my opinion.
100%. He'll be bombing the ball to whoever's open. Man, he's got plenty of targets now.
And you could argue
the backfield.
Yeah, 100%. And you could argue I don't think Nico Collins falls as far as Tank Dell does. I think Tank Dell falls the farthest. Excuse me.
Correct.
But I think their attention will be drawn definitely on Stefon Diggs. So that could actually help Nico Collins because then he could be a little more open where he's getting one-on-one coverages. It'll be interesting to see how their offensive coordinator, which is the same one that basically, did what he did with CJ Stroud last year. He's still there. He never took declined head coach's job. So I'm sure he's loving his offense right now and what he could do with it. I'm sure he's probably just leaning ear to ear being like, oh man, here we go. Let's go. Dude, but that offense is going to be scary, dude. I mean,
across the board, you got options across the board. Remember the tight end just got signed also. I mean, you have literally 4 people across. You could be throw it to anyone, including Mixon in the backfield. So you have 5 options at all times.
And the defense is still really good too. So it's not like, they're just all going to be offensively potent and relying on that. I mean, it's going to be an interesting year, man, to see, where it falls off. And also, I mean, Diggs, so is this his last hurrah? Maybe he's got 1 or 2 years left. Right now in fantasy or dynasty, what would you be willing to offer? Or what would you, if you have Stefon Diggs, what would you be willing to take to get off of him or to offer to get him?
That's a really good question. I like that one.
And also second to that question is, do you think, based on how frustrated he was at the end of last year to where he's going this year, do you think his stock technically rises, stays flat, or it still goes down a little bit? Answer the first one first. The trade. If you were to get offered a trade, what would you be willing to accept?
A trade. Well, I think right now it's hot. I would, if you need to make the move, I would do it now. Kind of while it's relevant and clean. Get a nice. Someone might give you a first, I think, with the quarterback situation where he is and everything. I can see a first for sure.
Okay.
Why not? I mean, I wouldn't go super crazy because of age.
Yeah, back in the first, I could see. Second would be probably more desirable.
Yeah, but like a low 9 through 12. I can see maybe first you can get no problem solidly, and second part again? What was it, Matt? To your
What do you,
question,
so
the
his
other half.
stock, so Diggs, as far as like where he was at the end of last year, remember he
Yes.
was kind of tapering off. He's frustrated. If you were to sit on the Bills versus him going to Houston, is it stock up for Diggs specifically, just for him, not for anybody else? Is the stock kind of flat, or do you think he's kind of like goes down a little bit because now he's in an offense that has more other wide receivers,
Firepower. Yeah.
and he's also not
I
tied
want
to
to.
the quarterback. Like he was tied to Josh Allen. It was like Josh Allen and Diggs. This is how it was portrayed. Like they're 1A, 1B. Like they're kind of brothers. Now he's got an offense where he's not going to be looked like that way.
So I'm going. It goes up. He's back in a dome, warmer
Oh yeah.
climate, down
I
in the
saw that. I thought
south.
that
I
too.
think that plays a role. I think the
Not
weather. Look,
not only
Buffalo's freaking brutal. Sorry,
dude, not only
that's
down
a
in the
tough
south, he's in the
environment.
same state as his brother.
Yeah, that's right. Texas. It's correct. They're all down there. Mom doesn't have to fly or go as far anymore.
Nope.
That division stays down there. What was it? Two out of the four in domes, right? Was it Indy, Texans, and Jaguars are outside.
Jaguars
But
are
that doesn't
outside.
matter. And then who the hell's the other one? I'm like drawing a blank right now. God damn it. Well,
Uh,
anyway,
just keep talking.
sorry. But anyway, I'm just saying. I think his stock rises. I think out of the elements, younger, like they go younger all around. Maybe he gets a fresher breath there. With everyone around him. It's then Mixon's the other vet. Realistically, you think about it, him and Mixon are the vets on the team now. Why not? So, I mean, if he can control his attitude and be able to be a good teammate and play ball, I mean, you could sky's the
Tennessee.
limits in Stroud. Yeah.
It was Tennessee, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and Houston are the four in that division.
Yeah. So
in the AFC
yeah,
South.
man, I think it goes up, dude. I definitely do. I mean, I don't think it's like astronomical, but just off of the weather and who he plays and in that division and the people around it, it changes for sure. Way better.
Yeah, and I agree. I think he's got. I don't think as good of a quarterback, but I think he's got an elite quarterback still, or a top end, high end quarterback who hasn't even seen his ceiling yet.
Young man,
he was a rookie.
Young.
He was a rookie last year. The thing is
Yeah.
his age. This is another year, but I think he'll be happier, and I think they'll be part of it. At least for the first part of the season, and then who knows what'll happen if he's not getting the ball as much as he wants in this offense. By the back end of the season, he could be diva again. But I imagine the first couple of games, he'll probably be loving it and very happy with where he's at. So yeah, I would say same thing. I say stock up. I dropped
For
that in
sure.
Not Your Mama's league. I was like, wheels up for Diggs, man. He gets a good quarterback, and maybe a slight tear down. Well, it's a tear down for sure, but not. I don't think a huge tear down from Josh Allen. But on top of that, gets in an offense where he's gonna be happier. He's in a dome, and he's closer to his brother, dude. I mean, honestly, I think that's gonna play a lot. Being that close to his brother, who's gonna be playing
For
in
sure.
Dallas, obviously. So it's like you got the two Diggs brothers. Like not only Houston to Dallas, I think is a 2-hour drive. Forgive me if I'm wrong, Texans.
Absolutely nothing.
I think it's like a 2.5 hour
far.
drive. It's not that far. Yeah,
It's
dude.
better than Buffalo to Texas, so you mean
100%. Yeah.
I think
Fucking
it'll be a
all right,
fight,
man.
bro. I think the Texans are in for the AFC for sure. They're definitely put their chips in. They're going to try to win it all. That's where they're at for sure.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, we just wanted to jump on, man. We saw this information and texting back and forth, and both of us happened to be home. So we're like, oh, let's jump on and do a quick pod and talk about our initial reaction. Do a reaction podcast. We haven't really done any of these at all. So figured today was our first day. Drop it. So hit a like and subscribe, please. I'm going to figure out a way to cover up the backdrop or maybe keep it like that for now until I figure out how to do or how to keep the glow from coming in or the glare. But until next time, peace. We're out.
Peace.
Later.